Hi guys, good evening from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you once again for joining us for the 30th time in a row. Drums rolling. It's been an incredible, amazing, super fantastic journey of 30 days of impact, and we are so excited. I'm sure a lot of us didn't know that all of these things was tailored towards the celebration of this year's Children's Day. And so to all our children out there, I want to say happy Children's Day. Happy Children's Day to all our adult children also. Happy Children's Day to all the children in single homes. Happy Children's Day to every child who had never heard Happy Children's Day told him or her in the last several years. It's for you that we set out this evening. So congratulations, we love you, we appreciate you. We are glad that you were born in our time and we are gifted with you. Happy Children's Day. My name is Amaka and this is Disruptive Parenting Summit 2022. All right. So we're excited. We are live once again here on the session. And for the 30th day, like we set out, we are excited that today is the grand finale. A quick background. We started Disruptive Parenting Summit last year after I gifted our world with my book, Disruptive Parenting. If you have not gotten the book, and you're a caregiver, a parent, or one who works with children, you need to get it. It's a comprehensive tool that will help you move from point A to point B, right? It will definitely help you make progress. So get your copy. Anyways, after the launch of that book, in fact, before we launched the book, I've shared this over and over again. When I sent the first editor, I sent the manuscript to, she reached out to me to say, this book must have a course. I didn't plan to have a course when I started writing that book. I didn't plan to have an academy. This is not me, right? This is God literally hijacked the project and has taken it thus far, and we're privileged to be honored or to be vessels that God chose to use to birth this movement, right? So after that, we eventually, it looked like it was going to work. It was not going to work. Anyways, to the glory of God, right now we have the Disruptive Parenting Academy, and this movement is ongoing, all right? This year, I've always loved children, right? However, all the things that are happening around our children in recent times. In fact, there are people who were relocating their children, thinking that relocation is the solution. But the news that we're having from what our people we call the abroad in recent times, they are not palatable at all. All right? So we have to be intentional about value infusion. We have to be intentional about being in the life of our children, about doing what I called when we started this summit, visionary parenting. And so that's how we got here for these 29 days. And today being the 30th day, we set out to gift coaches, parents, caregivers, stakeholders, youth pastors, religious leaders, those who work with children, we set out to empower them such that in this year, the Children's Day will not just be about eating rice or buying snacks for the children, or they are just being at home, like we have it here in Nigeria, where on a day like this, as we celebrate, our children will be at home. It's declared public holidays. So it's more than just being at home. If you are empowered, like I will always say, nobody will ever deliver more value than they know. You cannot give what you don't have. But I know that if you have followed us these 29 days, today being the 30th day, you have had enough value, at least to jumpstart your journey and give your children a head start. It's to this end that we started off on this program, and I'm excited that today, as we celebrate our children, we come to the grand finale of this summit. We're not going to stop doing what we're doing. We're just saying to this extent, the summit is coming to an end today. The videos will be available, materials will be available, and then other things we're going to do, we will follow through. But today, we have somebody I respect a lot. I refer to as big brother. He probably doesn't know that I follow him as closely as I do, right? He's someone who understands, who is royalty, both in the physical and then now as an ambassador of the living God. One who holds scriptural and spiritual values there. One who is also committed to children and to ensuring that we are intentional about preparing the next generation to be great brand ambassadors of the kingdom that we represent. All right. And then he's a very busy person. So I'm excited that he found time to be here with us. And sir, thank you for always finding time to be with us every time we reach out to you. Thank you for not saying no. Because at every time I say, sir, we need you. One of the things I'm thinking, I have battled by myself is, hey, I hope you say yes. So thank you for not saying no. I appreciate you. God bless you, really good, right? It's usually very good to do it in spite of your fears, right? Anyways, thank you so much for being here. Today, we are going to be discussing disruptive fatherhood. All right? Because sometimes it's usually about the adult in these children's life. Most and generally. Because if we do right as mothers, as fathers, as caregivers, as government organizations, if we do the right policies, we may not be able to eradicate, social vices completely, but we definitely reduce it by more than 50%. All right. So today we're excited to have him in the building. He's the STD boss himself. He's also a family life practitioner. He's many things, right? But today he's going to help us model our fathers. So it's with Disruptive Parenting Summit's excitement that we welcome you to this program. Thank you and God bless you. Welcome on board, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the pleasure of being here. Thanks for having me. And thanks for the great work you do for families and for children and everybody globally. It's deeply appreciated.
Thank you. So yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Yes, go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, so when I was thinking of my conversation with you tonight, and I was doing a Facebook post for it, I said something that literally sums up what my narrative is. And what I said was that when adults hide behind age and experience to conceal dysfunction. what we will do is we will get children who will also go the cycle. And when that is the conversation we're having, then like I normally would say, results are predictable. What I found out about human beings generally, sitting back and looking at the issue of dysfunction amongst boys in terms of is to be able to track back, like we normally would say that who are the fathers giving birth to children in the past, say 20, 30, 40 years, this side of the world or any other side of the world. Who are these fathers? What kind of people are they? How did they grow up? What values did they grow up with? What was the narrative around them? And then you found out that at the end of the day, what has happened is that somewhere along the line as a society, we dropped the ball on the essence of life. We dropped the ball on the meaning of existence. We dropped the ball on the meaning of family. And we dropped the ball on in terms of how you define a parent, and especially how you also define children and what our responsibilities should be to children. So we realized that if you backtrack, you can find out that with all due respect, it seems as if society has conspired to say, um, like create a checklist for your life. So between this age and this age, you're here. Between this phase and this phase of your life, you're here. And then between this phase and this phase of your life, you're there. And then when you get to, come out of university, do your youth core, whatever it is, then we expect you to get married immediately and start a family. And then nobody seems to, um, there's no intentional narrative by the institutions of society over the past how many years to mature or to contribute meaningfully to the mental, spiritual, educational, and social development of that adult, emerging adult, who is going to one day parent. So what you have basically is the fact that we kind of give people a pass mark because they seem to have ticked a box of do they look okay? Do they have an education? Do they have a job? Do they come from a family? And do they seem to be somebody who is physically fit to get married? And once they tick all these boxes, we just allow them to get married. And then when they get married, then they now begin to face the real realities of what it means to be married, the inner capacity required, the emotional, the psychological, the financial, the spiritual development that we as a society didn't look at now become an issue. And then, but because we have passed them up because of age and because of societal expectations that looks as if the box has been ticked, we give them the responsibility of marrying somebody else. And I'm talking about the male now. And then they are supposed to, for lack of a better word, bring to the world a new generation and then to marry someone and to be the head of the family. And then we expect them to do a good job or at least to know what to do in the context of the fact that you will get back. Now, because there is a capacity development problem there, what we now begin to see in what we call, the reality of parenting, the kind of parenting style, the part of parenting values, and all that that person will put on the table will now obviously show glaring defects, glaring, for lack of a better word, deficits in so many areas. And then at that particular point in time, it's the wife and the children that now begin to suffer for this dysfunction that probably wasn't tracked, wasn't traced, wasn't noticed, wasn't identified, wasn't treated. There was no intervention put in place. And then talk less of having actual counseling and help and seeking help in whichever way is appropriate. So what you have basically is a human being who has now found himself in this very sensitive, influential position, who has built no capacity whatsoever and is just recycling a dysfunction that is now being seen in the child or is now being seen in that person's leadership narrative or nuances, and then that becomes the problem. So, and then what now happens is the fact that the people around such a person are now made to go through literally a horrendous, experience that could have been avoidable if from the onset there was an intentional plan to work. So you find out that disruptive parenting for us, fatherhood is saying the fathers themselves would pass on dysfunction to their boys because they are carrying this dysfunction. And since there is no, for lack of a better word, integration of the institutions of life to ensure that values are passed from one generation to the other, it says like that on paper. But when institutions fail, this is what you get. When society loses its values, this is what you get. So, and then you notice that we seem not to have learned anything because it's obvious, the cycles are very obvious in terms of what we see. We still see society, for lack of a better word, dehumanizing people and making it okay for men, to dehumanize other people. We still see that our media and entertainment is still heavily very sensual, and women are highly objectified. We still see people with questionable moral values still being used as mentors and still being used as brand ambassadors. So the same mistakes that were made with the generation that have become fathers is still being made with the children we're born. Now, it's just the age of social media that's now making the world see what's happening literally real time. So what that does basically is to say to us that we have not learned our lesson. So what am I really trying to say with my narrative today? Destructive fatherhood starts not from looking at the parenting style of the father. It doesn't start from trying to find out how much the father knows, about his son and about his daughter or his wife. It doesn't start from trying to find out how much the father knows about So it's not really about trying to find out what he knows about bringing up his children, if he's there for them, can he pay school fees. It's the fact that, with all due respect, a lot of fathers who are fathering now are not equipped to father. We don't have the spiritual, emotional, financial, psychological built up that most of us are still fighting function. Most of us are still fighting dysfunction. Most of us are still fighting deep things. So at the end of the day, you find out that it's tough for us to actually bring up children because that error will be passed down to our children. That error, who we are. So we can't really be talking fatherhood now when it's obvious that even the fathers themselves were not fathered well. And because they haven't gone through a process of wholeness. And the tough work here is to get a father into a room and having be open and honest about his upbringing, his background, and for you to identify to him that these are clear signs of not going up wholesome, looking for validation, not being a secure person, somebody who's looking for security, somebody who's looking for acceptance. How can you give that to your own children? How can you bequeath to them what you never had? Like you were saying ahead. So you have a situation where, if we start the parenting narratives from the parents in terms of their style and their ability to understand parenting, then we miss the entire ballgame. What disruptive fatherhood says to us is sit down with that man and have him go back to the roots and ensure that first of all you have a wholesome man sitting in front of you. You have a man who's willing to take a journey yet into yesterday go through a healing process, go through a learning process, go through a restructuring process that allows him to be able to ensure that that cycle does not continue with his son. Because what we have today basically is the fact that the cycle is continuing with our children and is getting worse because of the world they are facing. Why? Because they have not been equipped by parents who are who can arm them with what they need to face the world now, because they're facing more pressure than we face. And because of the advent of social media and phones and all this kind of stuff, influence is real. They have access to things that we had to really go the extra mile to get. Pornography was not this free when we were growing up. Now it's almost everywhere. There's so much sensuality everywhere. There's a very huge possibility of somebody next door becoming a celebrity overnight. Yeah, when we were growing up, you had to work hard before you become a celebrity. In today's world, once you take off your clothes, you become a celebrity. Somebody wants to follow you. So you realize that our children are dealing with, more, for lack of a better word, more diversified narratives than we had to go through. So for us, the reality now here is the fact that we can't run away from the fact that fathers need to go back to answer tough questions, to be able to come forward and to begin to ensure that the cycle doesn't continue with the children. Because obviously, when you sit down with children nowadays, they still complain about the same thing. The parents are not there. The parents don't even know what they're doing. The parents is giving them toys and not attention. Children define, time as love as time, and that is one thing parents don't have now. If we're not busy at work, we're busy with our gadgets. So it just seems that, for lack of a better word, a lot of us don't really know what we're doing. And it's not really our fault. It was because we are not prepared for it. And a lot of times, even because, like I said, the institutions that should prepare us for this, somewhere along the line, drop the ball, and everybody's expecting us to give what we don't have. So at the end of the day, if we're talking about raising wholesome children, you can't have dysfunctional men raise wholesome children because they don't even know what their roles are in terms of fatherhood. The core roles of fatherhood, of giving a child a sense of identity, a sense of identity, validation, affirmation, provision, housing, and all that kind of stuff and everything. If you ask most men, they will put those lesser narratives as top on the top burner, like providing and sending them to a good school, housing them and stuff like that. But meanwhile, the core needs of the child is that narrative of identity, acceptance, security, validation, affirmation, and love and unconditional love and those core values. And that's where we drop the ball. And since we drop the ball there, there's no way we will get children who are wholesome. We're going to get children who are dysfunctional to a large extent. So for us, what we've noticed basically is the fact that we cannot have a parenting conversation until parents we can look at the parent and find out where he's coming from, and we are able to go back into his yesterday, help him go through a process of healing that allows him to be able to come to the table to be able to do a good job with his own children. Unless that happens, we're going to keep running around the symptoms when we're not dealing with the root issue of what we're dealing with. And like I said to you, what we've noticed a lot of times is that, yes, we have a lot of men out there who are of marriageable age and who are marrying and who are giving birth to children. But if you look at what is being passed down, it's basically the same thing that was passed to them. It is very okay for fathers to be absent in the life of their children. There's a cultural norm that says that bringing up children is a woman's responsibility. A man is just supposed to provide. Fathers are not supposed to build, core relationship with their children. Once their mother does a good job, he just needs to know everything is fine and all that is happening. And what you have basically, those were the same things that were done to us that we didn't like, that made us grow up having very core issues of emotional intelligence, having low self-esteem, poor self-image, because at some point you begin to feel neglected, rejected, and stuff like that. But then you realize that it's the same thing we're doing now. So if we that suffered from that, from way back, know what we are dealing with today in terms of going through therapy, going through prayers, spiritual, for lack of a better word, going through a spiritual exercise to ensure that spirit, soul, and body will come to wholesome. What do we think our children are going through? So disrupting parenting for us brings a narrative where we need to start with the parent to even be sure that that parent is not hiding behind age and experience to hiding under their own dysfunctionality. And it's a core issue because a lot of, I mean, you sit down with 10 men, nothing less than five of them are dealing with father wounds. And father wounds are one of the toughest things to deal with when it comes to men. And many of our generation went through those father wounds. Men that were wounded by their fathers, men who watched their fathers, treat their mothers in such a way, and that, created a scar. Men who could say that their father was not there for them when they needed them most, and they were not there to bring them up on everything. And you had men who just could not please their father or make their father proud of them. You have men who are bitter against their father because they made them read courses they were not supposed to read, or men who can recount years of intense physical abuse in the name of bringing up a boy and beating and all those kind of stuff. You realize that at the end of the day, those are the people who are giving back to children now. And at some point, it's going to be obvious that they can't give what they didn't have. Now, so if we're still dealing with this plethora of wounds and pain and dysfunction, then what are we giving to our sons that we're giving birth to? So at the end of the day, it takes us back to the foundation of, so if you are carrying those wounds and you have not forgiven, what naturally happens is that what you don't forgive, you replay. Most fathers who are angry at their fathers and who never forgave them and who never came into closure transfer that aggression to their own children, even though they didn't want to. So obviously you can define where those children are going. So we can't say we love our children, and this is where I'm going to like stop so that we can begin to take questions. There's no way fathers are going to say to us today that they love their children and they want the best for their children without being honest about opening up a possibility of going on a journey of healing or a journey of wholesomeness if they need to, embark on that journey so that they are capable to give more to their children than what they are giving now. So if you find men who come into conversations and they are afraid to, for lack of a better word, ask tough questions. Am I okay? Am I parenting well? Is this fatherhood? Is this where a father is supposed to be? Am I doing it well? And you can subject yourself to that open, for lack of a better word, conversation that allows you to be able to look inward and to track if you yourself are whole, so that you can now hand over to your children, from serve your children from that wholeness. If you are not ready to submit yourself to that, and we hide behind this age, maturity, professional qualifications, height, and all these other things that we define men as, then we are going to have a big problem because it doesn't shift the fact that they are not capable of bringing better children. Because the whole goal of parenting is to raise a subsequent generation that is better than you. And so, if what you have is dysfunction, then there is no way you are going to raise a better generation than you. It's just very simple. So, at the end of the day, those are the conversations. So, for us, we found out that the parenting narrative has made us go back to the drawing board and admit to ourselves that the parents need to go back to past. The parents need to be honest, and there is no way they can claim that they honestly want to do the very best they can do parenting wise without going back to see if they are suitable in their minds, in their hearts, in their soul, to be able to give that kind of parenting to their own children, and give them a good start in life and ensure that they're not dealing with dysfunction or going through an unnecessary cycle that we all go through. So I think at the end of the day, the narrative here is that we need as parents to be open enough, to be truthful enough, to go back into ourselves and see how we can start this process of effective parenting from our own background and going through a phase of healing that allows us to be able to make necessary changes now so that we can, open a new chapter between ourselves and our children. We can go back and we can begin to readdress what we didn't readdress before. We can go through a process of coming to terms with ourselves, a process of reconciliation with our children, a process of, for lack of a better, reconnecting with them, and then with the strength and the courage and encouragement of a mentor or a coach or family to give yourself a second chance in the life of your children to do better, than you have done before, and to correct the wrongs of what was done to you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, sir. So
Pleasure.
we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to go back to the drawing board and get help first so that we don't continue to recycle dysfunctionality.
Absolutely.
I hope that sank. We have to go back to the drawing board so that we get help to avoid recycling dysfunctionality and damaging the next generation. That's an awesome, awesome thought. And I am grateful that, first things first, right? We need to fix this foundation so that we can begin to build on it. We need to fix this foundation. And my heart bleeds. Unfortunately, the way our culture has shaped most of our men, it appears they are wired, or they are taught, or they are conditioned to think that it's okay to be anyhow they are. But it's not okay. I've come to realize that in growth, once you become a father or a mother, you will have to go back to school of life, or else you're not intentional about what you want to achieve with your children. Because it's going to challenge everything that you know, everything that you have been, particularly if you are raising this Generation Z and Generation Alpha children. By the time they query you 2 times, you either shut them down, which would mean to damage them, or you go back to the school of life and get the tools that are required to make progress with developing lasting and indelible, beautiful relationships with them. All right. So again, thank you for coming. We appreciate you, sir. I'm wondering 1 or 2 questions. There's a man here who wants to start on this journey. What's 1 or 2 things? What would be your advice to him or her? Sorry, particularly him, because sometimes we realize that a lot of the times our women seem to be open to getting on this journey more than the men. Okay. So what would be your advice to the man who is here now and is wondering, okay, I lost it when I was abused at 5 or at 10, or I saw my mother being beaten up by my father and I hated it. Now I have slapped my wife once. I didn't know how it happened. So I felt so terrible, or I still feel terrible. What would be your advice to such person?
When we're dealing with the male folk, sadly, society has done a um, very terrible job of removing the fundamental um, environment or culture that men need to go through a process of healing and restoration. You see, a lot of times the societal narrative or norm is that men feel shamed to ask for help. Men feel less to ask for help. So even when a man comes to truth, he always has that choice of, do I surrender myself and ask for help, or do I continue to do what I'm doing to protect my ego and to protect myself from being shamed? Now, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage for a man to look himself in the eye and say, it's okay to get help. It's just being human. and it doesn't remove anything from me, it doesn't reduce me. That sense of validation that we have removed from the table from people, especially men, is what we need to bring back to the table, or brave men need to go back and take. Because this is always like this. If you're a very secure person, if you're a secure person, if you somebody who you feel secure, loved secure in your maker, you feel loved secure in yourself, and you feel loved and secure in the relationship you have, then you can always um, you know, get help and be vulnerable and be open. But if you're someone that you don't feel secure, and you feel society has also boxed you into that shame thing we do, you most likely will not seek help. So the first thing is to bring men to a place of, for lack of a better, of security in their maker, in themselves, to know that life is not based on performance, that who they are is not built on what they do, but it's built on the fact that they've been created into the world by an awesome God, and that they are an amazing human being in themselves, and they're very valuable human beings, and that to take them on a journey of healing is one of the greatest gifts they can give to humanity and in themselves as well. So men need to first come to that place where they are bold enough to go on this journey of rediscovery and refuse to be shamed by society, refuse to be bullied by society, that they are less than a man if they seek help and if they go out for help. So that's the first step. And then second thing is to be vulnerable when they connect with that help. So if you're going for counseling, if you're going for therapy, if you're whatever, however you are engaged in this help, you must be vulnerable to ensure that you are present there and you are committed to whatever process it is. That allows to cooperate with the process, to be as open, to allow whoever is helping you to get to the root of what the issue is, and then you're able to start, tackle the issue from the root. Thirdly, is to also seek, for lack of a better word, a life group, people you can do life with. Seek a community that helps you and encourages you and supports you. Might be one person, two people, three people who help you walk through life, who help you build confidence that what you're doing is the right thing. And then obviously, again, you need a mentor, somebody who's gone through that road before, who can also sit down with you and share timeless wisdom with you on how people embark on that journey. So for most men, this is how we would normally would route them to say, number one, the confidence to make the change. Number two, the openness to seek help. Number three, the honesty when you now seek help to do your own part. Number four, you have a be in an accountable relationship that helps you track your growth. And then number six, also get a mentor of somebody who has been through that journey before, and the person can help you, guide you through it. So a lot of times, those are the initial things we would say for a man who feels we need to go back to the drawing board and start something from there.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. Please, one more question. Is there any role that
No
the
problem.
women can play in helping them get on this journey? Is there any role, maybe their wives, maybe there are women in their lives, is there any role that the women can play in helping them get on this journey?
Women play a lot of roles, and the core roles are basically number one, um, creating a non-judgmental environment around men who want to go through this process. Because of the way society has shaped culture of this gender war that we have, unnecessary gender war that we do, pitching ourselves against each other. So first of all is to be able to ensure that you don't have that as a reality, and that what the woman needs to be doing is creating a non-judgmental environment around somebody who wants to go through this process, and to not shame somebody, the husband or a brother, whoever wants to go through this process of going back into yesterday and trying to find out how they can heal through today. So encouraging words will help, prayer would help, having conversations, non-judgmental conversations with the person in terms of how their journey is going and how things are. Also asking how you can help also goes a long way to know how you can be of help. Um, Not much might be required of you initially, but probably over time, you will now be told by your husband or your brother, whoever it is, what role you need to play. So, what just a lot of availability. Men don't like to be shamed when they go through this process. Another thing about what women can do is in this very vulnerable state of men, you need to be able to hold information. You need to be able to hear what he's saying and not use that information against him tomorrow in a fight or in a quarrel or anything or else. But what that does is that it shuts them up and doesn't allow them to be vulnerable again. And then, like I said, creating a non-judgmental environment when they are open to speak, and even when they are open to speak, the words they say and things they say cannot be used against them or referred to in the future from a place of spite or from a place of wanting to play dirty with them. It really hurts men when that happens. And then, like I said, words of encouragement, prayer, playing a very supportive role, creating time to listen, and also creating time to, suggest whatever you think, reading a book, taking him out, spending time with him, asking him, what are the ways in which, you as a person contribute to that process. Because a lot of times you don't know, how we put pressure on people or and how that pressure affects them because they're not talking or because they're used to it. So sometimes it's advisable for the woman to also be able to step back and say, okay, so you're going through this process. Can you let me know in what ways I'm also contributing to this narrative in your life so that I can begin to create a different narrative that allows your healing process to go. So that also, would be very helpful if men were to have that conversation.
Wow. There's so much to learn from you, so much. Guys, please reach out and follow him on social media. Please, what's your handle again so that you hear it from your mouth? How can they connect with you?
At Deji Irawo. So that's Deji and Irawo. So together. So that's DEJIIRAWO at Deji Irawo would be my handle.
Please,
And then we'll complete it
guys,
up from there.
if you're a man on this platform, this is one entity I highly recommend. Truth is, one of the issues that we have is that sometimes men can't even find somebody they can trust. Yeah, sometimes they can't find someone that is vulnerable enough to even say, where you are, been there, I can walk you through it. People who are genuine, all right? People who are not playing church. We have to say it the way it is. People who are kingdom-minded. People who can be able to, can hold this and give you a brotherly hug, right? Please reach out and get the help that you require. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you guys. Drop on the chat room, on the comment section. Let him feel loved, appreciated. Let him see what you're taking away from this session once he goes through it, right? Sawi, thank you. God bless you, really good. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. All right, guys. It's been an incredible time. Beautiful time. Every time I listen to this great servant of God, it gets me thinking, right? It gets me thinking. But I'm grateful that God has allowed our paths to cross and that we'll be doing a lot more together. Now that I have confessed that I used to battle with fear before I reach out and ask for help. I hope. Oh, Lord. Anyways, guys, remember that we are having Disruptive Fatherhood course. We are going to launch it in a couple of weeks. Please write in the comment section now. That's it. Coach Deji Irawo, please come on the platform. Help me to beg him to come on the platform so that our men can become better and the children can turn out. Our sons, really, our sons can get a role model body of emulation. Sometimes it's so difficult. I am in this industry and, you know, I've been a believer for at least 25 years. And the greater part of this time, I've been around the pulpits. I've been around leadership. I've been in leadership. So I know what I mean. When I tell you I recommend somebody, no, I'm not trying to, it's not another cliche. If you follow me closely, you know that I hardly tell you that I recommend anybody. Because there's too many people that you can't take their words to the bank and cash it. And you cannot play a significant role in raising a new generation that we rep this brand Jesus correctly if we cannot take your word to the bank and cash it. So if you have not subscribed to that program is, for the worth of that program, is heavily subsidized. So if you're on our Telegram group, go ahead and subscribe for that program. It will change your life forever. That program is focused on our men. Disruptive fatherhood. What we heard this morning, this moment, you're going to learn a lot more. Some of the things that he said, we are going to be teaching and dealing with in details, right? So yes, go ahead and subscribe to that program. It's going to be a 5 days training. It's going to be a 5 days, it's a 5 days course, right? Where we're going to be helping our men deal with where they are coming from. A lot of these men are so sweet, so special, except that they need to find out what happened to them and begin to turn their lemon into lemonade, such that they will raise a generation that will be better. Right? So it's to this end that we thank you once again. I am excited. In fact, I'm missing this program already, so I don't know how I'm going to do tomorrow by 6 p.m. when I'm going to wake up and realize that, hey, 30 days is over. So you have to do something else, right? But I'm excited that God allowed us to be here for these 30 straight days. To everyone who has been here, I am grateful. I am grateful. Guys, the banners are on my page. Any one of them you see anywhere, tell them a big God bless you. I am super excited, grateful. I don't have enough words to articulate how I feel, but I say thank you for committing to the next generation your priceless values. I am in the industry, so I know how much training costs. I know how much it takes to become a certified mental health practitioner, a certified family life therapist. I know how much it takes to become an NLP practitioner, NLP master practitioner, this, that, and the other. I know how much it costs to become a behavioral therapist. And then to some people, it's not just about certifications. It's about that they have, beyond certification, they have walked through this life. And so they have followed God thus far, and they have offered us their shoulders to stand on. God bless you. It's my prayer. Every time I remember the team of people who have graced this platform, I always remember the men who built America. Posterity, we honor you. Posterity, we reward you. I don't want to make the mistake of calling names, but if you facilitated a session in this premier edition of the Disruptive Parenting Summit 2022, know that I love you, I appreciate you. Posterity will reward you, will reckon you as a great general, as an uncommon mastermind, one who have made an indelible impression in their lives. Watch out for everyone who you have seen come or participate as you see them begin to reign in life, know that there is partly your investment into their life that turned them around. And so I want to say happy Children's Day to all of our children once again before we round off. If you have not joined the Disruptive Parenting Academy page on Telegram, please go ahead and join. We are going to be doing a lot of other trainings there. If you have not shared, please go ahead and share, like my page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then turn on the notification bell such that every time we share a video or have a program, you will be notified. In a very short time, we are going to be launching the Disruptive Parenting Show. We cannot stop on this note. We have to consistently continue this. Our children must turn out right. They must turn out to the glory of God. They must turn out as global solution providers. They have to become everything that they have been sent here to be and to become, right? Congratulations to everyone who has participated on the summit thus far for 30 days. I want to take out this time to thank my team. Thank you. I can't remember, maybe it's 1 or 2 times that I shared, and I appreciated them through these 30 days. But thank you, Paul. Paul is our graphic guys. Oh Lord, all the graphics that you have seen is Mr. Paul that fixed it. So I am grateful. Paul, if you ever see this video, if you're going to see it, right? So when you see it, know that everything that you have done to make this program a success, I deeply appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you, Daniel, for handling the logistics of our network, going live on YouTube, fixing all of those things that is making me look like a pro. Daniel, I love you. God bless you. You're a destiny helper, believe me. God bless you, really good. I want to say thank you to Zuriel. Zuriel is my personal assistant on this journey. The girl is always, you know, she's one of my biggest cheerleaders. The girl will come every time I finish the program. I just come and give me a hug. Mommy, I'm rooting for you. Mommy, I love you. This way you're doing well, and that I appreciate you. Thank you. A big God bless you to my husband. I call him Your Excellency, Engineer Omo-Oikeh. God bless you for allowing me just be me, for allowing me to do destiny, for allowing my voice to be heard. Thank you for all the support. I appreciate it. Guys, mixed feeling. I'm feeling like, okay, so should we round off, should we not round off? But hey, it's been an incredible time. God bless you, really good. Once again, please sign up for the Disruptive Parenting, the Disruptive Fatherhood. Disruptive Fatherhood. Disruptive Fatherhood. If you want to attend the Disruptive Parenting Academy, I'm going to give you a 50% discount if you register within the next 3 days. That's the next 72 hours. I'll give you the usual price is 75,000. In fact, I think we have increased the price, but it's okay. I'll give you 50% if you want to become a disruptive, if you want to attend the Disruptive Parenting Academy. Is a full package that helps you become a consummate parent and a highly paid parenting coach. In fact, some of our alumni featured during this summit. All right. So from me to you, once again, to all our children all around the world, I want to say happy Children's Day. Have a lovely evening. It's to this end that we draw the curtains. First edition Disruptive Parenting Summit was a blast. Hi guys, thank you so much. My name is Amaka. I am the convener of the Disruptive Parenting Summit. Have a lovely, 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 lovely evening.